Hey, you know that morning at the Tech Spark Challenge in Atlanta, I thought everything would be fine, like a day to prove myself after all those sleepless nights with code. My name's Jada Carter, 17, black, grew up in Eastside where everyone knows each other, but not everyone believes I can do something big. I wore my patched up jeans. My mom called it vintage Latin American style, but to the fancy kids at this prestigious school, it was just a sign I didn't belong. I walked into the exam room clutching my faded student ID, heart pounding but trying to stay cool, like, I'll show them. But then everything changed in a flash. Mr. Grayson, the tech teacher, always in a crisp suit like he stepped out of a Hollywood movie, looked me up and down with a sneer full of contempt. "Girl, those jeans and that old ID. Did you sneak in here to cheat?" His shrill voice cut through the quiet room, making everyone turn to stare. My face burned, but I just stood there gripping my worn-out backpack, saying nothing. He stepped closer, snatched the ID from my hand, flipping it like it was fake, then turned to the crowd. "Look at this. A kid from the slums dreaming of being a programmer? Ridiculous." My chest tightened like someone punched me, but I didn't cry. My mom taught me tears are for home, not in front of jerks like him. I glanced around, seeing curious yet disdainful eyes from my classmates, kids who always thought I belonged at the Latin American taco joint in the neighborhood. Grayson kept going, his voice cold. "You think you deserve to be here? Someone probably pitied you." I wanted to yell, tell him about the nights I learned code on my mom's old laptop, about the borrowed library books on algorithms, but my mouth was dry, and I just bit my lip and stood there. What I didn't expect was Tanya, an event organizer, a black woman with a warm smile, stepping up, placing a hand on my shoulder, saying, "She's officially selected, Mr. Grayson. Check the list." Her voice was gentle but firm, like a cool breeze in a storm of prejudice. Grayson frowned, clearly annoyed, but he mumbled, "Hope she doesn't embarrass us." I felt the conflict in him, pride in his power, but a flicker of fear when challenged. I whispered to myself, "You'll prove it, Jada. You'll show them you're not an outsider." In my pocket, the knitted bracelet my grandma made from Puerto Rico quietly reminded me of my roots, of the silent strength I carried. And as Grayson turned away, I caught Tanya's sparkling eyes like she knew something I didn't, a small secret hinting that this day wouldn't end as he thought. "Hey you." After that tense opening like a tightrope walk, I thought I'd collapse, but no, I chose to rise. The exam room was packed, smelling of coffee and sweat with students typing furiously, and I sat in the back corner facing an old computer they gave me. Grayson stood up front, arms crossed, occasionally glancing at me with a "you'll fail" look. I heard whispers from the kids nearby. Who does she think she is? Probably just copying code, and their snickers made me want to smash the keyboard. But then I thought of my mom. Those nights she sat beside me, cooking aromatic arroz con gandules, teaching me Python loops on that clunky laptop. I told myself, "You can do this, Jada, because it's not just for you, it's for Eastside too." I started typing. The task was to build an AI to predict weather from old data. Not easy, but I'd practiced for a month. With every line of code, I saw my grandma smiling, recalling how she told me about surviving storms in Puerto Rico, teaching me that strength lies in patience. The kids next to me kept laughing, one yelling, "Watch out, she might crash the computer." I bit my lip, feeling like I was swallowing tears, but my hands didn't stop, fingers dancing on the keys like a salsa rhythm in my head. What I didn't expect was Tanya quietly standing behind me, nodding encouragement when I turned. She wasn't a teacher, just an organizer, but her gaze made me feel less alone. Grayson was different. He paced around, stopping behind me, sighing like, "She's definitely going to flop." I overheard him mutter to a colleague, "This girl's wasting time. should leave the spot for someone worthy. My heart ached, but I refused to let him win. I thought of my grandma's knitted bracelet, each strand like the days I learned code, and I pushed harder, optimizing algorithms, adding real storm data I downloaded from NASA. Sweat rolled down my forehead, but I didn't wipe it, just focused, like dancing bamba under a Puerto Rican moon. The crowd started noticing, the laughter fading into curiosity. Maybe they saw my screen running faster, predicting more accurately. I glanced at Tanya and she smiled, whispering, "Keep going, Jada. You've got this." Her words were a boost, making me forget the disdainful stares. Grayson frowned, clearly worried, but he masked it with coldness, like, "Let's see her fall." I whispered to myself, "You'll show him. You're not an outsider." And as time nearly ran out, I finished. A weather-predicting AI with 85% accuracy, beating the required 70%. I sat there, panting, proud but anxious. Would they recognize it? Tanya patted my shoulder, saying softly, "Hold steady. Someone will see your worth." I didn't know who she meant, but her knowing look hinted at a small twist waiting ahead. Can you believe a girl like me got nationwide fame? After the live stream, my story spread across the U.S., and one day, the White House called. The president wanted me to speak on tech equality. I laughed, telling Mom, I wouldn't even dream this." She hugged me, eyes wet. "You deserve it, Jada." I brought Tanya and Jamal, now my assistant coding daily, to Washington, D.C., heart pounding like a meringue beat. On speech day, I stood before hundreds wearing a dress Mom sewed, embroidered with Puerto Rican flowers at the hem. I shared my journey, from Grayson's disdain to lifting Jamal up. "Prejudice isn't just words, it's barriers we must break," I said, and the room applauded. The president shook my hand, calling me a role model for youth. My heart bloomed, but pressure hit. I now represented more than myself, but our community. Later, I received the Outstanding Youth in Tech award, and media dubbed me Eastside's coding queen. But not all were happy. Mark from Silicon Valley emailed seeking collaboration. I declined, thinking, he's just exploiting my fame now. Tanya laughed. "You're smarter than I thought." I funded 50 scholarships for Black students, and watching them get certificates, I thought of my grandma. She'd be proud. That night, alone, I pondered the future. Pride mixed with worry. Could I hold on to my values? Mom came, hand on my shoulder. "You've done it. Now soar higher." I nodded, knowing this journey had just begun. After everything, I decided not to stop. I founded Code for All, a nonprofit to help Black youth learn tech, inspired by Eastside in Puerto Rico. Mom was an advisor, Tanya managed it, and Jamal, now a coder, taught. Our first office in Atlanta burst with Latin colors, walls painted with computer and hibiscus art, a tribute to our roots. I stood before new students sharing my story, but now with confidence I once only dreamed of. "You don't need permission to dream big," I said, and they nodded, eyes shining. A girl asked, "Are you scared to fail?" I smiled. "Yes, but failure teaches us to rise." I taught them code, blending culture, using Caribbean weather data for models like I once did. One day, Mark reached out again, apologizing and offering funding. This time, I agreed. Not for him, but for the kids. I set a condition. He must learn about equality. He nodded, and I saw a shift in his eyes. Maybe he was learning. Tanya said, "You're changing the system, Jada." I grinned, thinking, maybe. The ending wasn't a stop, but a start. I walked into the office, watching students code, and thought of my grandma, Mom, and those days of being dismissed. "The future is ours," I whispered, touching the knitted bracelet. I knew though the road was long, I'd soar high, carrying my community along. Hey, have you ever thought a normal day could turn into a massive showdown? For me, that was when the contest results were announced. The exam room was now packed. Students, teachers, and even tech industry bigwigs. I sat there, clutching my grandma's knitted bracelet, heart racing, while Grayson stood up front with a smug look, sure I'd flop. When the host called the winner, the room went dead silent, and then, Jada Carter! I heard my name, couldn't believe it, and the room turned to me, some jaws dropping, others whispering, "No way." I stood up, legs shaky, but Tanya's smile gave me strength. Grayson was different. He stepped forward, voice shrill. "There must be a mistake. This girl isn't skilled enough." The crowd murmured, and I felt my face heat up, wanting to shout about the sweat I'd poured into that test. But then, the door swung open and my mom, Mrs. Aisha Carter, walked in, rocking a sharp black suit looking like a queen. I froze, not expecting her here, and the crowd gasped as she introduced, "I'm Aisha Carter, CEO of Tech Future, and this is my daughter Jada." Her voice was firm, eyes glowing with pride but also anger toward Grayson. He turned pale, mouth agape, speechless. Mom came over, placed a hand on my shoulder, turned to Grayson. "You doubted my daughter's skills. Watch this video." The big screen played footage of me learning code with her. Nights she taught me algorithms at the kitchen table beside a steaming pot of beans. The room fell silent, just my breathing audible while Grayson mumbled, I didn't know." Mom cut him off, voice icy. "You didn't need to know, you just needed to see she's worthy. You belittled her for her background, but Tech Future won't tolerate prejudice." My eyes stung, not from shame, but from pride. My mom, who hid her identity to let me stand on my own, now defended me. Grayson tried to justify, "I was ensuring fairness," but Mom smirked. "Fairness? You call humiliating my daughter in front of everyone fairness?" The room held its breath, and I sensed his inner conflict. Arrogance shattered, replaced by panic. A tech exec stood up, clapping, and soon the room erupted, applause drowning out the whispers. Grayson hung his head, knowing he'd lost, and I stood there, Mom's grip tight, feeling satisfied. Tanya smiled like she knew my mom's identity all along, and I wondered if she'd secretly helped me. It made me believe that despite the world's disdain, someone always trusted me. Hey you, after that game-changing twist, everything flipped upside down. Grayson stood there, face drained, mumbling an apology. "Jada, I didn't know. I'm sorry." But his shaky voice was hollow. My mom didn't buy it. She turned to the organizers. "He needs discipline, not just for my daughter, but for every student he's prejudiced against." They nodded, and Grayson was suspended on the spot. I watched him shuffle out, shoulders slumped, carrying a mountain of shame. I felt both satisfied, like serves him right, and a bit sorry for him, caught in such deep bias. I started seeing things differently. Old classmates, the ones who'd mocked me, now came to apologize, some even asking to join a coding group. I laughed, saying, "All right, but this time be real." And they nodded, eyes more genuine. Mom suggested I start a free class for Eastside kids, where I grew up, full of dreamers dismissed as nobodies. I recalled afternoons playing under the oak tree with the neighborhood kids, and now I wanted to bring them opportunities. Mom supported me, saying, "Your proof background doesn't define the future." I felt bigger, not just from winning, but from lifting others. Tanya revealed she'd secretly sent my test to my mom from the start, believing in my potential. She grinned, "You're stronger than you think, Jada." My heart warmed, like savoring Mom's flan, sweet and hopeful. Grayson vanished, but I heard he quit. Maybe he realized his mistake, but too late. I didn't hate him anymore, just pitied him as bias had cost him everything. Mom organized a tech workshop inviting me to speak, and I felt I was spreading something big, a future where everyone gets a chance. Hey you, after all that, I stood on the stage at a tech conference in Atlanta, looking down at hundreds, students, engineers, even those who doubted me. I took a deep breath, recalling the day Grayson humiliated me, and now I said, prejudice doesn't define us. It's a challenge to prove our worth. My voice trembled, but I saw Mom smiling from the front row, and Tanya clapped first. I shared my journey, the nights coding beside a pot of beans, my grandma in Puerto Rico, Eastside where dreams were mocked. People listened, some cried, and I knew I wasn't just telling a story, but inspiring. I ended with, every dream deserves protection, and I'm here to affirm the future is open to those who dare to step forward. Applause roared and I stepped down, feeling light like I was soaring. Mom hugged me saying, "You did it, Jada." I didn't know what lay ahead, but I walked into the computer room, sat at the screen, typing new code, not to prove anything, but to create for my community. I knew though prejudice lingered, I'd never let it break me. After that conference, I thought life would slow down a bit, but no, it pulled me into a new journey. Mom said I should travel across the U.S., sharing my story with Black and immigrant communities like ours. I laughed like, "Mom, I'm just an East Side girl," but she was serious. "You're their hope, Jada." So I hit the road, carrying an old suitcase with my grandma's knitted bracelet from Puerto Rico as a reminder of my roots. First stop was Chicago, where kids with bright eyes listened as I recounted Grayson's disdain. I stood before the crowd, detailing every moment, swallowing tears when he snatched my ID, Mom's heroic entrance. A little boy asked, "Were you scared?" I smiled. "Yeah, but Mom taught me not to run, to stand up." Applause erupted, and a brown-skinned kid in a faded shirt handed me a note saying, "Thanks, sis, I'll learn code." My heart warmed like eating Mom's mofongo on Christmas, sweet and meaningful. But not everyone cheered. An old man muttered, "She's just lucky. Not everyone has a CEO mom." I heard him but didn't get mad, thinking, he doesn't get it yet. Tanya joined me, an unexpected companion. She said, "You don't know, Jada. I saw your potential from that first test." I was shocked, asking why she didn't tell me, and she laughed. "Wanted you to prove it, like I did." Turns out Tanya came from a poor Latin neighborhood once dismissed, and now she helped me run free Zoom classes. I grew with each trip, New York, Houston, Louisiana, each leaving a story. A girl in LA hugged me, crying, saying her teacher called her useless for broken English, and now she wanted to code. I held her hand. "You'll make it," like I did. But it wasn't easy. In Detroit, some teens mocked. "She's just riding her mom's coattails." I stood still, recalling Mom's words. "Don't let them drag you down." I turned, said, "I'm here for you all, not my mom." They quieted, and one joined the class. I wondered, am I changing the world? Tanya whispered, "You're planting seeds, Jada. They'll grow into a forest." I smiled, believing each step was a small twist, proving background isn't a barrier. Hey you, have you ever felt like everything's against you? For me, that was when a big Silicon Valley tech company challenged me. They'd heard my story, and their CEO, arrogant white guy named Mark, called saying, "If you're really good, win our coding contest." I smirked inside, thinking, okay, let's play. Mom supported me but worried, "Be careful, they might play dirty." I nodded, packing my old laptop and knitted bracelet like a lucky charm. The contest was in a sleek glass and steel office, a far cry from Atlanta's cramped room. My team, kids from my free classes, was paired with me, but Mark eyed them with disdain. "Just laborers, huh?" I bit my lip, feeling stabbed, but said, "Their talent, you'll see." The task was an AI to manage urban traffic. Tough, but I'd trained with storm simulations. We started, fingers flying on keyboards, while Mark lingered, sneering, "Definitely a flop." But then everything shifted fast. I recalled Mom teaching me to balance algorithms like Sancocho spices. I led the team, showing them real-time data tricks, and the kids picked it up fast like devouring flan. Mark muttered, "Just luck." But when my model ran, predicting traffic with 90% accuracy, the room went silent. A black engineer on Mark's team clapped, shouting, "Amazing!" Mark paled, stammering, "Needs rechecking." I stood there, heart pounding but firm. "Recheck it. I'm not scared." That night, we won. Mark reluctantly shook my hand, but his eyes showed conflict, arrogance broken, yet unwilling to admit it. I hugged my team, feeling like dancing a victorious salsa. Tanya called, "You did it, Jada." I grinned, thinking, this isn't just my win, it's for the community. But I knew the biggest challenge was staying strong. Mark might return, and I had to be ready. I thought things were smooth, but life's never that easy. After Silicon Valley, Tanya told me someone from my free class sold my story to the press, claiming I rode my mom's success. I froze, sitting in our familiar kitchen, bean stew scent lingering but my heart heavy. Mom hugged me. "You don't need to prove anything to them, but I knew this would shake Eastside kids' trust." I asked Tanya who, and she sighed, "Jamal, the boy who gave you that note in Chicago." I couldn't believe it. Jamal, the kid who cried thanking me, now betrayed me. I remembered his hopeful eyes, now a knife in my back. Mom said, "Maybe he was lured, Jada, but you must face him." I decided to meet Jamal, heading to the old neighborhood where he stood by a wall, head down. "Why, Jamal?" I asked, voice shaking. He mumbled, "I needed money for my mom. They promised big if I badmouthed you." My chest tightened, angry yet pitying. He was a victim too. I didn't yell, just sat beside him sharing about my grandma surviving poverty in Puerto Rico. "You don't need to sell yourself short, Jamal," I said. "You've got talent, I'll help." He cried, apologized, and I saw his struggle, wanting to do right but scared. I hosted a live stream, owning the story. I'm not perfect, but I won't let prejudice or betrayal win. Mom backed me, and Tanya spread it. Jamal joined, apologizing publicly, and I forgave him, not from weakness, but to give him a second chance. The live stream succeeded, thousands watched, and a donor messaged, offering to help Jamal's mom. I sighed, thinking, this is another twist, not for revenge, but healing. But I knew this wound would take time to mend, and I had to grow stronger. The story of Jada Carter, a 17-year-old black girl from Atlanta's Eastside, is a powerful testament to the strength of resilience and self-worth in overcoming prejudice. Facing public humiliation from her teacher, Harold Grayson, who dismissed her as a slum kid unworthy of a tech competition, Jada stood firm, proving her coding brilliance through an AI project. The shocking reveal of her mother, Jada Carter, as a tech CEO turned the tables, exposing Grayson's bias and affirming Jada's talent before a stunned crowd. Jada's journey didn't end with victory. She launched free coding classes, becoming a beacon of hope for marginalized youth, showing that dreams can thrive despite adversity. This story has real-world relevance, encouraging us to confront injustice with action rather than resentment, much like Jada's coding triumph. It suggests standing firm in the face of belittlement, seeking support from allies like family or mentors, and creating opportunities for others, as Jada did with her classes. For older audiences, it's a reminder to challenge biases in workplaces or communities, fostering environments where everyone's potential is recognized. Jada's forgiveness of Jamal teaches that transforming negative relationships through empathy can lead to healing and growth, reinforcing the value of diversity as a unifying force. Jada's story resonates deeply with American audiences, particularly Black and immigrant communities, by reflecting the realities of racial and class prejudice. Cultural elements like arroz con gandules, bomba dance, and the Puerto Rican knitted bracelet enrich the narrative, grounding it in the strength of Latin American heritage. For mature audiences, Jada's journey echoes personal and collective struggles, urging continued support for younger generations to break barriers. The story's emphasis on community upliftment aligns with Western values of equality and opportunity, making it a universal call to action. What do you think of Jada's journey? Have you or someone you know overcome prejudice to shine? Share your stories in the comments to inspire others and spread the message of equality. If this video touched your heart, please hit like, share it with friends, and subscribe to our channel for more dramatic, thought-provoking stories that celebrate resilience and fairness. Let's build a community where every voice matters. May Jada's story remind you that even after life's storms, hope and peace can bloom. Wishing you strength to rise above challenges and the warmth of community to light your way forward. Keep shining and may your dreams soar.